That's a store that needs to come back. Toys R Us needs to come back. Just great branding, great little store.
Who doesn't love a giraffe?
Yeah, great mascot, by the way. Jeffrey. Great name. Great name for a giraffe.
From bike to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. I wanna grow up, cause in my day, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. I don't wanna grow up, I wanna be a Toys R Us kid.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux Podcast.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux Podcast, coming at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux, the city brainer. With me, as always, is my brother.
Why buy new when slightly used will do?
Anyways, over to my left is the Councilman Gabe Johnson. What up, Councilman?
Dave, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you, sir?
Do you know that if you score a touchdown in overtime in the Super Bowl,
Yes.
the other team still gets a chance to go down and score a touchdown?
Yeah, that's because a couple years ago, everyone cried because they couldn't handle the rule in which, hey, your defense actually has to play defense. So they changed the rules, and then the Chiefs still won. So
Why would you choose to get the kickoff?
you shouldn't. And actually, I sent the text to you, and it is 100% correct. There's no reason for you to accept the kickoff in a playoff game in the NFL in overtime. Zero. All you're doing is putting yourself at a disadvantage. And turns out,
Well, see you later.
They lost.
anyways, Kansas City. Speaking of Kansas City, the guy that is doll Kansas City, Mr. Justine Goble.
Never been to Kansas City. Is that in Missouri?
Justin does Missouri. Justine Goble, welcome back to the podcast.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing excellent. 30 seconds to explain yourself. Go.
I explained myself many times on this podcast before, but I'm Justine Goble. You're welcome.
That doesn't make sense.
Justin is a returning guest on the podcast, good friend of the podcast, been around since probably
The beginning.
close to the beginning. Yeah. But it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Are you ready to play a game?
Ready to lose.
All right. This week we got a game, ladies and gentlemen, and this game is called To Be Discontinued.
Game time, hoot!
This is a game that is all about things that have been discontinued. And specifically, we're kind of going with a bit of a 90s vibe to this. Doesn't mean they were discontinued in the 90s, but items from the 90s that have been discontinued. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this much like the chronological games that we played, in which you're going to give me a year, and the person that is correct with the year will get the point. And this will be when something was discontinued, or in a lot of this case, since a lot of them are stores, when they were closed.
Thing sucks.
Okay, thanks. Justin, since you are the guest, you are going to start off, and then we will just go down the list here. How it will work is you will give a year.
Okay.
Next person can say whatever year he wants above or below that. Next
And you're going to
person
give me
can
the
say-
product that was discontinued.
I'm going to give you the product, and a lot of these are
Or
stores.
Circuit City.
Yeah.
A lot of
Buy.
these are stores. A lot of
Pomida.
these are stores.
Kmart.
I should have did Pomida. That would have been a good one. I don't have Pomida on the list. But before we get started, let's talk just briefly a little bit. If you had to name like one store that you either loved and is no longer with us, or
Radio Shack.
Radio
Yeah,
Shack,
that's what I-
Funcoland, good
Funcoland.
one. Funcoland, also a good one. What do you
But that
got?
still exists in other forms.
Sort of.
Circuit City.
Circuit City, he says as well.
Best Buy was always superior.
To Circuit City, yes.
Maybe.
Circuit City always had a weird feel to it. Like you were walking, it felt like it was a little nerdier than Best Buy. Like Best Buy was a little bit more hip, like a little flashier. You walked into Circuit City and it felt like you were walking into, Best Buy minus.
Yeah, it was Mountain Dew versus RC Cola.
Target, Walmart.
I wouldn't even go Target and Walmart because at least Walmart has like a feel to it. Circuit City didn't have a feel. Circuit City felt like you were walking into a big white building that you're like, oh, yeah, this is how some people would do it.
Because you were there for, electronic parts.
Yes.
You were not there for a fucking experience, Dave. You were there to get your shit and get out of there.
Well, it turns out people were there for the experience. They had none, and they're no longer with us.
Yeah, that's why it's closed, I guess.
All right, so we're going to start off with one that is very close to what Scott had said with Funcoland. We're going to go with KB Store, or KB Toys, excuse me. So, Justin, you're going to go with KB Toys. We had one in the mall here for a very short amount of time. This is what year were all of the stores.
And this is going to go in chronological order.
No, it is not.
It's not. It's going to give them once all over.
This is going to go all over the place.
So it's not like the last ones we did.
So it's not only in that you are going to guess the year, but this is all bets are off on all of them.
I'm going to say 1992.
He says 1992.
I'm going to say 2008.
He says 2008, and Gabe goes with
99.
He says 1999, the correct year when all KB toy stores were closed. 2009.
Oh, boy.
1 point to Scott.
I don't even remember a KB toy. I don't even
Damn it,
remember the store at
Justin.
all.
What a stupid answer.
Fucking makes sense, dude.
I was like 92.
So you're going to find out that a lot of these are not in the 90s. They are from the 90s or from the 80s. Some of these started way back, further than you would believe. But you're definitely going to notice that most of them closed beyond the 90s. That'll be my hint to this. So speaking of KB Toys, Scott, you mentioned Funcoland.
Uh-huh.
So I remember Funcoland being in St. Cloud. It was a place that had new and used video games. I was not aware that it was not just some small regional thing. Mm-hmm. So it was based out of Minnesota, out of Eden Prairie. It had a warehouse in Minneapolis for a while. It then got up to 400 stores.
Wow.
And then was on the chopping block to be purchased. And one of the bidders was KB Toys. The other bidder was Barnes & Noble.
Interesting.
Who ended up buying them out. In what year did Barnes & Noble purchase Funcoland?
Well, 2009. Scott, it's on to you.
2004.
He says 2004. Over to Gabe.
2005.
He says 2005. And over to Justin.
Well, it's still 2006.
God damn it.
It's 2006. The correct year of the changing of Funcoland that is then combined with the store Babbage's and creates the store GameStop was 2000.
Okay.
So is that another point to Scott?
Yes.
Another point to Scott.
This is how much most stores charge for video games. This is how much we charge. Funcoland. More video games than anybody else at half the price.
So there were two things I was completely unaware of. I was completely unaware that Funcoland was not just a regional thing.
Right.
I was also not aware that Funcoland became GameStop. I had no idea that that was the case.
So did it really get discontinued at all then?
I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, yes and no. The company was bought out and then basically turned into something completely different, which is kind of the same thing, but
same
not.
thing.
It's the
kind
same
of, but
thing,
not.
yeah.
Kind of, but not. The other thing that I was unaware of this. So one of the items that is no longer with us that we don't talk about, but we should talk more about is magazines. I think magazines are a really interesting thing from that time frame, right? Like it didn't matter what you were into, you were getting a magazine of some sort. Like there was some magazine that you were getting. My mom was getting People magazine. We were getting video game magazines.
I was getting the Lego magazine.
Lego magazine.
Lego magazine was dope back in the day.
I
I
actually
was
thought
getting Maxim.
I was thinking Maximum Stuff magazine. Me and Gabe are on the same page.
Inside Stuff was a good NBA Inside Stuff.
No, just stuff.
Oh, just stuff?
It was like Maxim.
Oh, okay. All right. Just nothing but titties.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. And that's it. I mean, that's very 90s as well.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah.
One of my
Titties? Titties are 90s?
Well,
when
titties-
did they discontinue titties?
2015, I think. For sure 2016. But 2015, I think, is when they were like, you know what, we're going to
on the
stop
out.
with the boobs.
Yeah, they were on the out for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, they got a little squirrely, a little separated.
When the penises showed up.
Oh, you know what? That actually is probably pretty true. When Judd Apatow started just putting dongs in everything, people are like, I like titties. They were a lot better, but I guess the penis is funny. However, Funcoland was actually the start of the video game magazine Game Informer.
Really?
Yeah. So I knew that Game Informer was a Minnesota thing. I knew it was based out of Minneapolis because when I came out of college, I had actually looked at them as a potential place for employment. Kind of cool. It was a very popular video game magazine. I did know that it was attached to GameStop, but because I wasn't aware that GameStop and Funcoland were the same thing, I had no idea that the two were combined. So it actually started off as the Funcoland newsletter and then became Game Informer. And then GameStop became a thing and blah, 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 blah,
And
blah.
then to the moon.
And then here we are today with no titties.
But a lot of dongs.
But a lot of dongs.
It's all Funko's fault.
It's all Funko's fault. All right, we'll get back to stores. I'm going to throw in a curveball here real quick. The pudding pop. You remember the Jell-o pudding pops?
Jell-o pudding pops, frozen pudding on a stick.
You remember a man
Heard of him.
who shall not be named?
He did some
The hypocrisy of it all.
The hypocrisy of this individual.
Tastes fantabulous.
We are, of course, talking about Bill Cosby and the pudding pop. They were reintroduced by Popsicles brand. And what year were they finally discontinued again from them? So they existed in their original form. They came back. And then get off your phone.
Sorry, I just had to look at what a pudding pop even is.
What? You don't remember a pudding pop? It's
Not
a pudding
really.
pop. You don't even remember you don't even remember Bill Cosby talking about pudding pops?
I remember Bill Cosby talking about pudding pops, but I don't actually remember what the hell they are.
How would you describe Jell-o pudding pops?
It was just
It's like popsicle?
I'm pretty sure that you couldn't get any
It's
more
frozen
specific.
pudding on a stick.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Are those the
pudding.
ones you make on your own?
Yeah, but they always suck. The ones
Okay.
you make on your own are always like crystallized and basically turned into an
yeah,
icicle. Yeah. But anyways, they were reintroduced by Popsicle brand. Everybody hated them. Discontinued a second time. We're going with that year because otherwise you just hear late 90s they were discontinued. So second time around, when were they discontinued?
I'm going to guess it coincides with 2009.
Coincides with what, Gabe?
The whole year.
The demise? The demise of a man? Turns out, hypocrisy.
2011.
He says 2011.
2008.
The correct answer is 2011.
Ooh, look at you.
That's
Justin
double
getting
points.
Double
Dead
points.
Oh, yeah, okay, double points. Dead
Nice.
on balls, double points.
Tie game, Scott. What's up?
I got a feeling he looked at the screen. I'm going to have to put my hand up like
on.
this.
I honestly did not look at the screen.
That was balls, dead on balls. Let's talk about the pudding pop. Though. You don't remember the pudding pop.
Not really.
Pudding pops were amazing because they somehow found a way to make a texture that, like, you would think that it would be like goopy or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It had like the right amount of pull. It was kind of, like a fudgesicle when you get it going a little bit.
Well, that's what I was.
It's got that
I can
pull.
only picture fudgesicle.
It's very
That's
similar.
what my grandparents stocked.
Very similar.
Yeah, very similar. A little softer, and then you had that vanilla mixed in there because it was a mixture of the chocolate and the vanilla. Hell of a combination. I would argue one of the best frozen treats.
Why'd they get discontinued?
Because it wasn't the best.
Nowhere near the best frozen treat.
Well, somebody thought, hey, we should get rid of these. And then they were like, we should bring these back. And then they were like, whoa, put them back. Put them back.
Huge mistake. Huge mistake.
Was it 2011? Is that when all the Cosby stuff
I
happened?
don't
Or
know,
wasn't?
but I'm just going to pretend it is.
Okay.
Even though it wasn't even like Jell-o branded at that point, the pudding pops were tainted.
Yeah, for sure.
The pudding pops have gone bad.
All right, let's go back to stores. And Gabe, you actually mentioned this one, Radio Shack.
Oh man.
So I'm a huge fan of Radio Shack. We had a tiny little one in what would then be
old
called
mall.
the Dirt Mall
Yeah,
at
yeah,
that
yeah.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the old mall, then we got a new mall. Radio Shack was in the old mall still. But our dad loved Radio Shack. We talked about this multiple times, the Tandy 1000. Tandy is a Radio Shack brand.
Okay.
So we know for sure our dad bought our computer at Radio Shack. But it was a weird little store that it was geared at a very specific individual. High nerd value. But they also had like remote control cars before remote control cars were like an actual thing. I remember that more than anything about that store was the fuck are these? Like You didn't see remote control cars that didn't have something attached to it or weren't like $1 million.
Had the 6-foot cord that you had to follow the car around. No, not at Radio Shack.
Oh, Radio Shack was legit.
Radio Shack's radio controlled turbo Lamborghini 4x4 off-roader and turbo racer. Batteries not included. Radio control toys each sold separately. Only at Radio Shack.
Started in 1921.
Wow.
Yeah. As an actual radio.
About when radio
Yeah, it started when the radio was invented.
We made a shack about the radio.
Yeah, it was originally just Shack.
And then radios came around. He said, you know what? I've got the shack. What if we just put a radio in it? However, what year was Radio Shack officially discontinued? It still exists as an online brand, but when were the stores officially discontinued? Justin.
I can remember in high school it was obviously there.
Okay,
Just
so
I
don't remember
70s
anything
is off the
since.
board.
Well, I'm going to recommend
How old do you
not.
think I am, dude?
I'm not going to recommend going off of when the Dirt Mall in Brainerd closed. I'm going to recommend.
No, but I'm trying to. Yeah, there
as
was
a
a store in
whole.
Baxter too. They had the actual.
Oh, yeah,
real
there
estate
was,
store.
yeah.
I was there for a while after. I want to
yeah.
say 2008.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2015.
2015. All right, over to Gabe.
2014.
It says 2014. The correct answer is 2017.
Wow.
Okay.
Radio Shack was going strong.
Fucking sucks.
I actually I gave that point to Gabe on accident. Gabe is still with 0 points. I'm gonna say the mistake you made as Radio Shack. I don't care if you have one store open. You wait that 5 years. You go the full century. You went from 1921 to 2017.
Yep.
And no one said like, hey, it's a shack. Nobody's expecting much.
Yeah, just keep the East Brainerd Mall
Yeah.
location open. It's like $400 a month rent. You're not losing much.
One shack. You could have just a radio in a shack, and you could have hit the century
Made
mark.
it 100 years.
Yeah, what a bunch of morons.
Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah. Justin, are you more into toys or are you more into goodies?
As goodies as far as what?
As in Sam goodies.
Oh yeah, more goodies.
Okay, then let's go with Sam Goodies. Scott, you're first up on the board. Sam Goodies opened in 1951 as a chain. Started in the 40s, but they officially became chain stores in 1951. Sam Goodies selling music and various different things, but mostly music.
Okay.
Sam Goodies.
I have no fucking idea.
No, you don't have no reference for the Sam Goodies.
I do not.
Okay, then think of this as
It was a CD store.
CD stores. When did CD stores in general stop being a thing? But it's specifically Sam Goodies.
Yeah, so what was the CD place in our mall called?
Record
FYI,
Town.
yeah,
Oh,
those
we had
FYI.
FYI, yeah.
Okay.
Which I actually think that
Record Town was the big
Record
one.
Town.
Yeah.
I think Sam Goodies actually turned into FYIs, if I'm remembering correctly. But Sam Goodies as a brand has an end date.
No, it doesn't. You've made all of these up. None of them are correct.
Just to let Scott win again.
Have you ever watched any of our games?
No,
Any of them?
I haven't.
I pick a thing, and then I go on the internet, and then what I find is that it just says late 90s for every single one of these.
So then you make it up.
So then I have to come up with things that have some kind of end date. And this one actually, what's funny about this game is this one has a date and then says most.
Most closing.
Okay. So the very last one closed. And what year?
Yeah. So when did most
When did
of them
most
close?
Sam Goodies close?
2016.
2016. Over to Gabe.
So I'm thinking iPod is like 2002, 3.
Probably somewhere in there.
The iPhone is like 2008.
7, 8. Yep.
Going 2011.
It says 2011. Over to Justin.
2012.
Gabe. The answer is 2012.
Double point. Goble up to 4.
Goble is 4. Scott with 3. Gabe.
Because I figured it out for him.
When I go first, I'm like 10 years off.
Gabe's still in it though, completely in this. Mainly because all bets are off, and at some point you're going to get a chance to double up here.
And you never explained to the guest how to properly win the game.
Yeah, and he knows. If you're a listener on this episode and you've never listened to any of our games before, At some point, I'm going to say something to your fans, to the winner. They must say something very specific. However, I'm not going to remind Justin what it is. So
and do you remember? Is not.
That's not it.
Is incorrect.
Right.
Let's talk about record stores for a minute, though. Kind of a cool experience. The record store.
Oh, they had the headphones on the end caps.
Yeah.
Check out all the new music. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had in town, we had Record Town, which was straight up record store. But then we also have the gallery, which is still in town. Still have
which actually sells actual records.
And they still have a record section in that store. But just a cool experience. Like they would label them by category and then alphabetical. There's a cool feeling to the flipping through the CDs. You get that sound of the CD hitting the CD. And just an interesting experience that is basically completely gone now, because now even Best Buy is closing taking all of their actual physical media out of their stores. Oh. So I don't know. It's just like, talk about it. What CD do you remember purchasing at a record store?
Oh, I can remember lots of them.
Yeah, but which one stands out?
Skilo, I Wish.
Skilo.
Montel Jordan. I bought those two at the same exact time.
You're kind of a tall guy.
Yeah. I remember buying Paul Oakenfold, double disc set.
That's more of what I was thinking from you.
Pete Tong. I bought Pete Tong Essential Mix there.
Okay. Yeah. Tiesto.
No, Tiesto. That was later. Richard Humpty Vision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Humpty Vision.
Lots of CDs, man.
Man, that's crazy.
Fatboy Slim Essential Mix.
Okay.
That one came from Sam Goody, actually. I can actually remember buying that one.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but you want something bad about Skilo? I wish, dude. I got that at a record town in Colorado. I'll never forget it. First CD I ever bought.
There is nothing wrong with it. I just wasn't prepared for it. I don't think
the first CD you ever bought was Skilo.
Yeah.
Well, never would have guessed it.
Hello. First compact disc I ever purchased. The one I most remember purchasing is Melancholy and Infinite Sadness.
Yes.
But the first compact disc I ever purchased was Dookie.
Yes. I think from our age group, that's probably most people's first compact disc. I can't remember because I was just stealing them all from BMG. So
you got 100 at once. Yeah.
Scott, do you remember anything from any music store?
So I wasn't able to go to the actual music store.
Yeah, you were too young.
And so I had to get my CDs from Walmart.
Oh.
Because Walmart CDs were all censored.
Oh, because of your father.
Actually, mother.
Mother?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mom wouldn't let me.
I remember my parents making that suggestion. Like, I ain't buying no fucking Walmart CDs.
It's totally censored. Yeah.
So it was either Green Day's Warning.
Okay.
Or the Marshall Mathers LP.
Okay.
From Walmart.
So that's
then the Marshall Mathers LP has a completely different song. So it's edited, but edited so hard that they got rid of the song Kim.
Okay.
And replaced it with a song called
Slim.
Something Drugs Are Bad. And it's basically, and he does like a Mr. Garrison impression. Or not Mr. Garrison, whatever, but South Park character. Okay. Okay, guy.
Yeah. It's it's just Nancy Reagan coming on there and telling you, hey, thanks for buying this version. That Kim bitch.
Gonna have a bad time.
And it turns out Nancy Reagan gives a hell of a blowjob.
What?
What?
Gabe knows.
It came out in, recent years that she was a bit of a hoe.
Oh, and so not even from the president?
No, in Hollywood circles. Like Ronald Reagan was an actor. Yeah, Ronald Reagan was
That's
an
how
actor.
he ended up with her?
That's how he ended up with her. Is Nancy Reagan just blew everybody and was really good at it.
That's a good way to pick a spouse. Yeah. Because I got some friends that they ain't getting any of it. And that's a thing that I think it's got to be at least discussed. Like if you have the conversation and it's right out there in the open, that's not happening for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And you go, okay, that's, I guess, trade off.
Not wife material.
Trade off. You're a decent person and, you make a hell of a taco. Thanks. No blowjobs. But, there are other things that are great about you. You're a good friend. You're a good listener. No blowjobs.
Is that what you're looking for, Dave?
I wasn't. I mentioned taco, so wrong. We know where I'm going. However, at the same time, Callie is a terrible cook. Callie, I love you. Horrible cook.
So no tacos, but
But taco.
Nice beaver.
heck of a blowjob.
Anyways.
This is all getting cut out.
No, it's not. We don't have the ability
No,
to
we
cut
gotta
things
go.
out. Gabe's got to go in a minute. So
I did buy a Pearl Jam CD once too.
you did? Okay.
The one with that where am I?
Well, Last Kiss. Dave loves that
Last
song.
Love that song.
No,
Listen to
you
it-
don't.
Listen to it twice on the way over here.
You just
And then there's that Halo song with my
Okay.
girlfriend's bed. Love it, dude. Top 2 favorite songs.
it's nice to at least know that you listen to the podcast.
Right.
He got excited when I said Pearl Jam, and then he clicked.
Yeah.
He was all about Pearl
Gold.
Jam. Wait a second.
It was all about Pearl Jam.
Last Kiss, dude.
My biggest memory from Record Town specifically
Just moving on.
was getting caught stealing a CD from Record Town. I got caught and went to court. It should still be on my record because I was 18. I got caught when I was 18 years old wearing my football jersey with my name on the back.
Smart.
Badeaux 56.
I took that off after I was caught stealing. So it was in my pocket, but this was right when we were transitioning to tighter jeans. And so I was used to just sticking things in my pockets. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit of a klepto. I stuck this in my pocket, and then the buzzer went off, and I tried to take it out of my pocket and did the thing where my hand was stuck.
Oh.
And then I caught eyes with the guy, and then he looked down, and then he looked back up at me, and I just kind of went, oh.
He didn't run. He didn't run. Just take off running.
What are you supposed to do at that point?
He just run. He just run down the hall.
Oh, well, it's right there on the back of my
Well, I
jersey.
mean, you got to try and get away, I think.
Yeah, you have to give it an effort.
It was a CD. I think
attitude and effort, Dave. Attitude and effort. You gave no effort on that one.
No.
I will say it was like a $300 fine. It was a hefty
worth
fine.
running.
Yeah.
Try.
At the time I was like, you got caught.
Yeah, my dad will bail me.
Yeah.
This one.
No, he didn't. I went to court on my own. Everything. I was used to going to court at that point.
I had a friend who got a job at Record Town.
Oh.
I'm not going to name him.
No, I think I might know who though.
And he figured out that every night when you take the garbage out,
Oh God.
the buzzer goes off.
Oh.
So he would throw albums
Oh,
into
that's
the garbage
awesome.
on
Goes
the
off.
way out.
Goes off anyways.
Yeah, it's just going off. And then after work, cruise over to the dumpster and grab his albums.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So my good friend managed it, Record Town and FYE. We could return anything we wanted. I mean, I shouldn't say this. and any used CDs, anything, it could be old, it didn't matter. Okay, as long as it was there.
Yeah.
And just give them a random name that's right down on the return slip. You do whatever you want.
Oh, so I could go in and be like, I'm Scott Badeaux, I'm returning
Yep,
this.
and just return it. This would have a name. It could be used, scratched, and it didn't matter. 10 years old, didn't matter.
That's awesome.
They take them all back. Store policy, just return
Well, it
anything.
turns out Record Town is no longer with us.
Yeah. A couple of reasons why.
Yeah. What are we doing?
All right, let's get back to this game. We are now moving from the goodies to the toys. Toys R Us.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
And this is the last 2 U.S. stores closed in what year? So there were 2 hanging on.
Okay.
The last 2. See you
And
later.
this is me. I'm going to say 21.
It says 21.
I was going to say 19.
Okay. Over to Scott.
Oh, damn it. Okay, 18.
Gabe is on the board. Double points.
Nice.
Double
Yes,
21. 21.
Big
I
fan
knew you
of
were going to
Toys
get
R Us.
skunked.
That's a store that needs to come back. Toys R Us needs to come back. Just great branding, great little store.
Who doesn't love a giraffe?
Yeah, great mascot, by the way. You know, because one of the problems with like animals in general, like if you're making a logo, right? What do you do with the body? You're gonna do a full body? You can do a bear, now you got a whole bear in there. You know, you can maybe do the face. The giraffe, you
Have the neck sticking in?
Yeah, you can have the. I mean, there's so many options. That neck gives you because nobody knows how long the neck is. The neck could be this long, could be this long. It doesn't matter. It's a good option. I like it. Jeffrey, great
Jeffrey.
name. Great name for a giraffe. Gabe, 2 points. Scott only has 3. This is a close one. We're running out of time, so
Yeah,
we're
you fuckers Hitting the nail on the head. I have the most correct.
Well, we also kind of ran into
Semantics doesn't matter.
we kind of ran into a situation where you don't really know music stores because you're too goddamn young for that. So
Don't make excuses for him. He's losing. It's that simple.
I'm going to bring this store up, even though it's a little too specific. But Gadzooks. Do you guys remember Gadzooks?
Not a bit.
Nope. Okay, none of you remember Gadzooks,
I
so we're
only
not
think
going to
of
do
Zubas.
Gadzooks. So Gadzooks we're not going to do, but Gadzooks started in 1983. They closed in 2005.
2005.
I bought a pair of, they were supposed to be silver, but they're really gold Doc Martens, and I still have them. And they are so goddamn sweet. And I got them at Gadzooks. So I just want to talk about my gold Doc Martens, but we're not going to put it on the board. We're going to skip right past it.
Gadzooks, those are gold.
Gadzooks. That's what I said. All right, here we go. We're coming up to the end here. This is to see, and we might as well just move right on to the end here, I guess.
We're in the semis.
Let's do the semis. The question is, Blockbuster Video. They closed the corporate stores. So they still had the
They
couple.
still have one.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
in
it's
Alaska?
No, I think it's in
Oregon.
Oregon or Washington, one of the two.
John Oliver
but I
did
think
something with that.
I think that one actually closed now as well. Finally, so but there were a couple stragglers that were not corporately owned. So we're doing the corporate stores. In what year? And this is just for Scott and Gabe, because Justin, you are in the finals.
Hell yeah.
Just for Scott and Gabe. In what year were the corporate Blockbuster stores closed?
Who's going first?
I'll defer.
The defer has happened. To go back to the
You're such a
Super
good-
Bowl,
you're such a good guy.
going back to the Super Bowl, the correct decision has been made.
You defer.
You defer.
Okay, so Netflix put them out of business.
Late fees put him out of business.
Well, yeah.
Shoddy business decisions put them out of business.
Oh, boy. 2014.
2014.
I'm taking the over on that, Dave.
So the problem with saying that you defer is you give Scott the opportunity to knock it out of the fucking park. Yes! A double pointer for 2014 dead on ball.
That's good. I definitely thought it was later than that.
Wow.
actually.
I gave those points to Gabe. I got to take those away. Scott, you actually just jumped into the lead.
Yeah.
You just actually went from being questionable to being on top. Gabe, I'm going to just throw this one to you just to see if you remember, because it's kind of fun. It's a follow-up to kind of the Blockbuster. But Hollywood Video.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give us a year, give a year on that one, just for fun.
2012.
Justin, what do you think on that one?
2011.
2011 and Scott?
7.
2010. So just a couple years.
Yeah,
You know?
Blockbuster did hold on a little bit longer than they should have.
A little bit. Yep, exactly. All right, here is the final question for all the marbles. Turning this because you're
I
cheating.
think I'm cheating. I'm not cheating.
I know you're cheating. I saw you look right there. It was just like when I was stealing a CD. I saw you look. You saw it. All right, here we go. This is the final question.
Okay, final question.
There's a little Nintendo system called the Nintendo Entertainment System, also the NES.
Nintendo, now you're playing with power.
In what year was it officially discontinued?
Like the first 1985.
The 1985 Nintendo Entertainment System.
Because it's come back in different versions.
They did make a second version of it, so that is included in this. When did Nintendo officially stop making Nintendo Entertainment Systems?
Including all subsequent NES models.
Yeah, like NES 64s and
No. So
the original very first one.
Yes.
the original very first one.
So it was the one with the little lid that you had to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
the
yeah.
one-
When
the
that
you
one
had to
stopped
blow
being
in.
made. Yeah, then when that stopped making that one, that's what we're looking for.
No. Because there was a second.
There was a second top-loaded one.
Top-loading one that is included in this.
That is not the Super Nintendo.
That is not the Super Nintendo.
The big square cartridge.
Yep.
Yes.
I remember that one too.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a year when that was discontinued. I'm not talking about the mini that came back in as electron. I'm talking about the original. Put your games in it. Cartridge.
Entertainment system.
Entertainment system. For all the marbles.
Who's going to defer?
Justin, do you want to defer? Because that's a dangerous game.
No, I'm going to defer.
He's deferring. It is the right decision. But there is one problem here. Scott's got an advantage on you here.
Yeah, I know he does.
But deferring is a good move because if he's not dead on, you got wiggle room here. Because I know he's going to be close. Scott, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
2000.
2000, he says. Justin.
I'm saying 2001.
Oh my God.
What a horrible fucking
Yes.
move. Scott Badeaux, you are the winner.
Yes.
2001? It was 1995.
You take the under.
95.
You take the under.
This baby right here shows up, the Virtual Boy, and they're like, you know what? We're done with this NES. We're going all in on the Virtual Boy. 1995.
That seems early.
How does that seem early?
When did the Super Nintendo come out? 92?
91.
91? Oh,
91.
Okay.
4 years into the Super Nintendo, we're still making. But 2001?
How did it make so long to make Super Nintendo?
2001 is when the GameCube came out.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I thought maybe
that's
they
still
would have
Nintendo, isn't
still
it?
been making them up until just before the GameCube.
Okay.
So that's why I went with 2000.
Okay.
I thought maybe as the 64 existed, you maybe could still get.
But as soon as the disc
NES.
systems came out in 99,
Yeah.
I would have thought
For
the cartridge
sure.
games are done.
I would see. I'm amazed that you thought the GameCube because I would have said like the N64 would have been for sure when they're done, which is pretty much what happened. 96,
It was
97.
either, it was either they stopped at just before the 64 or they stopped just before the GameCube. I went with the GameCube. Can't believe you went after that.
I don't know anything about any of this stuff because
We've established this a long time ago.
I'm not a nerd.
30 seconds to describe yourself. Moron.
Pathetic loser.
yo, I
He
know
was here to lose.
I came here to lose. I came here and I perform my duties, what I was supposed to do. But I would have if I would have won. What do you say to your fans?
Hello and congratulations.
Oh, finally.
I would've got it done.
Really? So you caught the last episode when Scott was given an opportunity to say hello and congratulations. Oh, yeah. Scott, the last episode, sorry, spoiler alert for anyone that wants to go back to that episode. Very rarely do any of the core members get it wrong. I knew you wouldn't get it wrong either. However, hello and congratulations is correct. And Scott, the last time around, got it wrong. So
What did he say?
he tried tossing it.
I wanted to see if the guest who had never been on before could
You remember?
remember it.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Do you remember?"
Oh.
And they said, "That's not it.
Yeah, that is not it.
Do you remember is not what you say."
Correct.
So they got you in a technicality.
Semantics.
All right, ladies.
No.
I had not yet.
Well, the
begun
world
to
is
speak.
done right because Scott ended up winning
He did.
and I lost, and that's how it's supposed to happen around here.
All right, I'm trying to end this episode.
And I've written down your bullshit years, and I'm going to research all of them.
Yes, thank you, Gabe.
You know what's funny about that though? I say good because there's no way you're going to do that because Gabe's thing on the podcast is saying I'm starting a new thing, and then he never does it.
Well, he did actually legitimately write them down. So
I'll report back to you, and then never does ever.
$5.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Next week we will be back with the news, and then we're going to be back with either Kevin Yeager or a draft, depending on Kevin's schedule. We might switch those around. But if you've got movies from the 90s, shoot that over to us. Also, if you've got ideas for a draft day, we are completely interested in what we could possibly do. We tossed out an idea to ourselves here, but we'd love to hear from you. If you have an idea for things you'd like to hear drafted, we'd like to do that as well. I think those are really fun episodes, but we're going to go ahead and do that. And then the movies from the 90s, send those to us, which ones you want to see us either revisit, which ones you want to see us talk about that we didn't talk about, and we'll get that done as well. So we got to get out of here. We got to go get our kids. Justin, thank you.
we out.
All right. Gabriel, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Boutros, the winner of the game, thank you.
Yes.
And with that, we're done. All right, I actually got to go. So just super fast. Yeah. 2001 on the NES.
I don't know. They still make Nintendo.
I mean, that's like
The top loading one, it was a curveball.
That's a curveball. The top loading one came out because we bought one at Target for $50. Our grandma got it for us, and that would have been probably 93, maybe 92, but probably 93. So yeah, that is a curveball.
Especially because they've made the top loading model. I thought.
Yeah,
maybe they let that one go for quite a while.
Yeah, I don't think they did though. I think that only lasted for a couple of years. But yeah, it's interesting. That's still a long time for a video game. So I had 10 years.
I had a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, some PlayStation. That's the whole game system I've ever been involved in my life.
Well,
I played an Xbox 3 times in my life.
Turns out you suck.
Because Xboxes suck.
Yeah, turns out you suck.
Surprised you didn't know that.